Okay. What you say, what you gonna do? Whatever.
Hi, this is Steph, the Educator, and this is Essential Pedagogy Podcast. Um, I am so delighted to be here today. Y'all, I have had a rough week. I just want to let y'all know I've had a rough week. Um, I started this podcast because I wanted to help people build compassion for one another, and um, especially in the education realm. It just seems like there are a lot of finger pointing and blaming. If teachers were better, kids would be better. If parents are better, kids would be better. And there's just a lot of finger pointing and blaming about why, children aren't producing in some instances like they used to. There are lots of variables that go into that, but let me just tell you, tired educators, we are so overworked. We are so overworked. I had a wonderful spring break, so I want to tell y'all that. Wonderful, wonderful spring break. And a lot of people are very envious of the holidays that we have in education, but I'm telling you, when people say they manage people and they're like, oh, I manage a team of 20, or I manage a team of 50, or I manage a team of 5 who also manages a team of 10 under them. And there's nothing like, and I've said this before, folk in your face every day, and you have to solve their issues and their problems every day in your face. I teach middle school, so I see about 150 faces a day. Every day. Band-Aid, bathroom, candy. I gave someone yarn the other day for a belt. So I was like, what's your waist size? What size pants you wear? And he's like, I wear a 30. I said, oh, okay, baby, let me measure this out. So I'm just misfix it all day. So we need these breaks. So let me tell you guys about my spring break. So I have not done a lot of traveling because, of course, I'm on a fixed income. People do summer school and things like that to supplement, but we still are severely underpaid. And I want to tell you about how much money I make, but it's really embarrassing. It's public information, but oh well. I've been doing this for 21 years, and I do not make 100K, not even close. Far from it. And I don't go on a lot of vacations, but I went on a vacation, y'all. I went on a real vacation. I happened to be dating, and my friend, my significant other, I cannot say boyfriend or whatever, my significant other decided he wanted to go somewhere special for spring break. So we went to St. Thomas. St. Thomas. And we stayed at a very nice hotel, and we ferried to, I want to talk about this. Okay. So, so we ferried to St. John, and St. John is a smaller island. It's smaller than St. Croix and I believe St. Thomas. And St. John is dependent on St. Thomas for electricity. They had severe hurricane in 2017. I forget the name of the hurricane. I should know it. Not Harvey. Don't know the name of the hurricane, but in 2017 there was a hurricane, and they're still not 100% rebuilt from that hurricane. And y'all, oh my gosh, I did not know I was going to have a great topic, but the topic today is, just because you're in America doesn't mean that everything's equal. It is not. And I'm laughing because I think since I'm a Black American, I don't really identify with African American because I'm not from Africa. My family's not from Africa. And I understand that we have long generation descendants from Africa, but I don't have an identity connected to Africa. I'd love to visit so that maybe I can feel something. But right now, I don't feel that much other than, oh, okay, that's very interesting and fascinating. And oh, okay, yeah, there's Black people there. Okay. But I identify with being Black. And so with being Black, I know that in America, everything is not equitable. But it really showed its head when I went to St. Thomas. So St. Thomas, I was on the US side, the US Virgin Island side. And so of course I had many, many questions. About their education system. And I'm kind of looking for a place to retire that is laid back and not so stressful um, as America can be, no matter how much you try to tune out and not um, be a part of the heartbeat thread of what we call information age and everything. So went to St. Thomas. My little friend, I hate to say that. Okay, so my significant other paid for uh, a 4-hour private tour. So we were only ones on the bus because he wanted it that way. And we got a private driver to take us all around the islands to all the beaches, public and private. And we had a wonderful time. But what I was most impressed with, because she was from the island of St. John and born, raised there. So I asked her a lot of questions about what it was like to live there. She took us on a tour of the island, so she showed us the school. There's only one public school, and it has like a primary side, and then there's the upper school side that holds the I think it's like 7th or 6th grade up to high school. Well, their school got damaged in the storm, and it's still not rebuilt. They're still in some like, what do they call those? Trailers. Yes, trailers. And so even with them having trailers, they are having to have the children ferry from one island, from St. John to St. Thomas. Now, these children, they decided to put the younger kids in the older kids building because I think the younger kids building got destroyed, but they decided that they would not have the younger kids ferry over to St. Thomas by themselves to go to school. Imagine that. It takes about 20 minutes, y'all, to get there from one. It's like 3 miles away over water, but it takes about 20 minutes. Anyhow, cost of living over there is about like how it is over here, a little bit higher because they import a lot of things. Import a whole lot of things. Anyway, uh, so they ferry the kids over. I felt like that was very fascinating how the kids have to get up extra early so they can ferry and be to school on time. It's not like catching a school bus. Whew. But kind of is, right? Um, they have one public school on the island of St. John. They have one private school, one public school. So the private school endured some damage, but they had a generator, and there were some things that they had minor damage, and they had donations to that school, and so they're all up and running and doing just fine, while the public school is still suffers, and they still haven't rebuilt. And by the way, this public school is in the thick of things on St. John. Now listen to this, y'all. So we ferried in from St. Thomas to St. John, and there's like the port authorities, there's the cruise ships, all that stuff is coming in the same area where the kids catch their ferry, and it's like walking distance to the school. You know how many strangers come in on on these big boats, these big cruise ships, and how many people are just around. I just feel like, woo. um I think the people of St. John have tried to do some things to kind of protect children, because but they're still just out. When we finished our tour, it was about it was right before 3 o'clock, and so we were hungry. We wanted to eat in the main city of the island, and so we found something to eat. But the kids were in their uniforms and just walking amongst the people and going home, wherever wherever that is. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I would like this. Plus, St. John does not have its own hospital. It has like a medical center. I forget what famous person has helped that medical center um, in America. Chetney, he's a country singer. Anyway, um, he's given money to have a medical center. They have a helicopter pad or whatever. But I just don't want to get sick on that island. They don't have hospital. They don't have a hospital on the island of St. John. Now, St. John is known for its beautiful beaches. Um, a lot of people go there for honeymoons, but it's secluded from some of the city type things and conveniences that you would want to live near, like a hospital. You would want to kind of be by a hospital with doctors, right? Like doctors. Anyhow, neither here nor there. Um, on St. John also gets their electricity from St. Thomas, so they run their electricity underwater from St. Thomas to St. John. Isn't that fascinating, y'all? It's so fascinating. It's so interesting. St. Croix is the biggest island as far as square footage is concerned, but I think it has like the least amount of people, or maybe comparable to St. John. It does not have as many people per square footage, and we didn't get to visit that island. Unfortunately, I hear it has a lot of history and everything, but we saw a lot of history, like the sugar plantation, the shut down sugar plantation that was on the island of St. John, and a lot of history there. St. Croix, they had a big time Middle Passage kind of revolt on the island of St. Croix, and very interesting, very very interesting. But it just I was I am an educator. I am slated to retire in about 3.5, 4 years, and I even though I am going to retire, I'm about education from my heart, no matter what. So I'm always interested in whatever area I'm in, their educational system, how it's structured, what they do, how it's similar to where I'm from, how it's different from where I'm from. Just the stories. I wish the lady that was driving our taxi was actually a teacher, so I could really bend her ear and just see if I can poach some information from her about being a teacher on the island. But of course, public education doesn't. They get the short education period, but they kind of get the short end of the stick. Um, it's it's not equal. The people in St. Thomas, St. John, they don't really they they don't get to vote for our president. I'm so ignorant. I didn't know that. So, but they are the U.S. The U.S. owns the island. They bought the island for like, I don't know, $30 million dollars worth of gold long time ago from the Dutch. And so, uh, the people in St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, that the Virgin Islands, they drive on the left side, and they also have steering wheels on the left side like we do. um, but they continue to drive on the left side from when they were owned by Dutch, and so they did not change the way they were driving, so it was kind of different. And not only that, they still have steering wheels, they still have American cars, so those American cars are made like ours, but they drive on the left side, which I feel like is really odd to see, because I see people in Europe and they're driving, their steering wheel is on the opposite side, so it kind of seemed like it makes more sense. But these people drive like this is all how they've been doing it for a long, long time. So, um, but it's very interesting and scary. I felt like I was on a roller coaster the whole time, just up and down, because the mountains, they have mountains there. It's no joke. And they drive fast. Hmm. um, and going up and down these mountains and going around these curves and alongside of the mountains, pretty dang on scary. It seems like they have guardrails where you really don't need them, but then scary places where you can kind of topple over, they don't really have guardrails. So I'm like holding on to my dear life, like, ooh, right. um, so it's just very, very fascinating going somewhere else. I had the time of my life, but um, it was a thrill for sure. I had lots of emotions. Going to St. Thomas, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of land. It looks like a postcard. That's all I. That's all I can explain how it looks. It looks like a postcard, almost from every angle. You look out, it's like a postcard. And I feel like this island is unique because there's so many other little islands in between. You can see them from the distance, and you're like, it's another little island over there. It's just so beautiful. It's not just water as far as you can see, it's just this little island, that little island. It's just a wonderful thing. Um, but it's kind of sad too, because I feel like they're American but they're not. I felt like I was going away to a different country because they're so different. But we use American dollars, US dollars. It's very Americanized but not, and I think they like it that way. They don't have Uber, so they have taxis. um, it's just, I feel like they intentionally make it a little bit remote, because elite people and wealthy people still want control over some place that is American and familiar, but also they want to make it their getaway where it's not so hustle and bustle is home. And in order to do that, they keep, I think, businesses away from the U.S. Virgin Island, um, like Uber and other conveniences that we have here on the North American continent here. Um, and all the clusters of islands, a lot of times they are, I feel like, mostly the way money is made is through tourism. So in some ways, it's mostly a black island. When I'm talking about ethnicity, or well, not really ethnicity, but they are black people, and I feel like they're kind of still um, are servant to the desires of elite people, because most of their money comes from tourism. And not to say that they don't make a good living. Um, Me and my significant other had some deep discussions about it, because our driver, she's been to the US and other Caribbean islands. She's traveled, she's made a great living from being a taxi driver, owning her own taxi and controlling things that way, controlling her price, um, building a community where people understand, who she is, and building a network of people on resorts and at hotels. And so she gets business for sure. And she's able to help take care of her family, and they get to travel. The whole family gets to travel. And she's like, when I'm working though, it's like I'm just working. And she said, I am kind of tuned out of everything, but I'm working. And I understand that, because I'm the same way. When I'm working during the school year, I'm definitely a different person than than in the summertime, or like spring break and things like that. And I feel like it's because um, there's a grind. We have a consistent schedule, and it doesn't stop. It just keeps going. And a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, y'all work the same 5 days everybody else work." Uh, a lot of people don't realize we kind of similar to almost hospitals. Sick hospitals are 24 hours. We're open when other businesses are closed. We're open. And like breakfast is done. uh, Lights are on, heat is on, air is on. Whatever it's got to get going for students to be there, we have to prepare that for them to be there. Educators. And what I mean by educators, I'm talking about everybody who makes it possible for kids to learn, to have an environment that's comfortable for them to learn. So our janitor is there probably around 5:30 in the morning. I am there a lot of times 7:30. If I have tutoring, I'm trying to be there at 7:15, 7 o'clock, because I gotta get things prepared for tutoring, for the kids to be there at 7:30 to tutor in the morning. And then after school, I do it after school. I'm not paid to do it after school, but I do it after school for convenience of the students, if they remember. It's a lot. And so we are up doing the things. And then when we get off, most times, if I'm tutoring and we get out, I'm not walking out of that place before 4:45. By then, banks are starting to shut down, close, things like that. And it's hard to take care of business. If you didn't make your doctor's appointment, oh well, gotta wait till tomorrow. And then a lot of times we keep forgetting, because our mind is on the thing at hand. The thing at hand is the safety of the kids, the education of the kids. What is needed next? What do we have to do to prepare for the next day? Um, when I came back from vacation, it was a real, I mean, it was a getaway. Just like my producer was saying, she was like, "We are not used to the real like holiday and vacations. We're used to getaways in America. We don't take really long ones." But I did not look at a calendar. I did not look at an email the entire time I was away. And when I got home, I saw, not when I got home, when I got to work. on Monday, and I opened up my calendar. I was like, oh shoot, I have a field trip on Wednesday, a outdoor science field trip on Wednesday. I was like, I feel under the weather already. I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's definitely a grind. I don't know how else to explain, but you just got to keep churning and going and going and go, no matter what. It's you have a headache, okay? You got to decide: is it worth me going home, making sub plans, making sure I explain to the substitute from beginning to end of my day exactly how things should go? Is it worth that? Is it worth, the kids, or if I don't leave sub plans that's on the topic that I'm teaching now, if I use the generic sub plans that they suggest that we have, then it's not on topic. And the kids are like, oh, this is dumb. And then they tend to act up. So you're like, do I weigh that? How do I get this? What do I do? Can I push through with this headache? Can I? So that is some of the things that I've been dealing with this week. I'm just holding on. I'm yet holding on, y'all. I'm just yet holding on. I had a wonderful time and I'm so blessed. I haven't had a lot of opportunities to travel abroad, but I'm changing that now. I think COVID has helped me put some things in perspective and make some things priority that wasn't always a big priority. And plus, my life didn't lend itself to it with taking care of growing young men. But now I get to prioritize being adventurous, learning about new cultures, learning about new societies and how other people live. Um, so my next trip is going to Florida. That's a short trip. That's at the end of the school year after school ends. And then I have a big trip to Bali. So I'm going to do my best to figure out the education system there. I also want to do more research. Like Ghana, I hear Ghana is very interesting. So I want to visit Ghana, but it's not going to be but for far out, right? But I want to do some traveling. I want to go to Iceland. I want to go to Turkey. I hear it's beautiful. Um, and we're going to try and make that happen on the way to Bali. I don't know. I need help, y'all. I need help. I need a travel agent. Aruba, I hear is nice. Um, I hear they have a lot of rocky coasts, but the snorkeling I hear is better in St. Thomas is what everybody's telling me, better than Aruba. Um, and I didn't go snorkeling. We went kayaking. Didn't go snorkeling. There's the reason why, but I didn't go snorkeling. Uh, but we had fun. Next time I'm gonna go parasailing. I'd love to do that. I'm scared of heights, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna bite the dust. If I can get in an airplane, I could do parasailing. It's not gonna last forever, so I think I can do it. I think I can do it. Yeah, I have to use the restroom before I do that. I know I'm gonna be scared, scared, scared. But I'm excited. You know what? It's interesting that I lean into things that is scary. Because today I was just thinking that in order to be an educator, you have to be brave. An effective educator, you have to be brave. You have to be brave. And I think I do things to stretch my comfort zone so I can live my life through bravery. Because if I wasn't that person, I don't think I could survive in education. I think you have to be brave to do the right thing all the time. I think you have to be brave to be consistent. I think you have to be brave to swim upstream when you know everybody's expecting you to go downstream. I think you have to be very, very brave in education. And what I mean by upstream instead of downstream is it's not going to be popular among parents, among students, for you to make them wear their ID. It's not going to be popular for you to for you to be a human. uh, I decided that in my first period class that I had a lot of students who were um, just not doing their best. So I gave the whole class like a B for effort instead of an A. And then it was my intention that some of the standout ones, which were only a few, maybe three, would get A's. I forgot to go back in the column and change those B's to A's. And do you know, I heard about it. I heard about it from a parent. And I just said, my mistake. I have all intentions to do everything perfectly. But guess what? I'm not perfect. And so it used to be a time that I would ponder over it, think about it, beat myself up, try to figure out how I'm going to make everything just the way it should be and be superhuman and be past human. I give myself grace and I accept myself because I am enough. I do enough and I have enough. And it's taken me a long, long time to really, really embrace that and to say, hey, I'm sorry, my mistake. I didn't mean it. It is done. I can't undo it. I apologize. And I move on. Now, if the person doesn't move on, that's them, not me. And there's nothing I can do about it. It is not the end of the world for some things to happen. And I feel like we have taken things way too serious as far as a third grade class, a fourth grade class, a, a seventh grade project. If things aren't perfect, sometimes we just need to embrace the fact that things are what they are. And we're going to commit to do better next time. And we're going to try and figure out a strategy on how we can be better next time through adversities because we have them. We have lots of adversities. I'm not going to sit here and um, make excuses about education. I'm not going to bash parents tonight. I'm just going to say education, just like anything else, is evolution. And it takes brave people to ride the wave of evolution. Brave, brave people. And that kind of connects to my little vacation since I was on the water. uh, riding the wave of evolution and education. I think that's what it takes is for people to be brave with that. And I feel like parents need to embrace that too. Um, try to ride the wave of evolution in your own family. Try to be brave enough to not be so combative with the change and try to ride the wave of the change and see how where life takes you. You know, I'm not saying not be intentional, but because I feel like people need to be very intentional, right? You don't accidentally get a job. Okay. You are intentional about getting a job. But I am saying to relax a little, stand back, and just say, you know, from the beginning of time, how was education? It wasn't always like this, and it won't always be like it is now. So, if we can just take a beat and figure out what we can do better, one step at a time, then I think we will have an easier time in education. It won't be so so much anxiety over it and anger. Like we don't have to flip out over every little thing. We don't. We don't. Have healthy boundaries. Be intentional with as well as riding the wave. And that's all I got to say, guys. Um, I hope to have really great shows coming up. There have been people to um, reach out and show interest of being in the being interviewed for the show. I would love to interview you if you have something interesting to offer as far as a different point of view. I just met someone. Actually, I just got into a deep conversation with someone that I actually know. I didn't even know they had this part of their lives. It's so interesting to know what people do. Like what they have a heart for. When you find out what people have a heart for, I mean, there's just so many things that we can do together. We can collaborate and do together. I just met one of my colleagues, also runs a foster care home for for uh, for foster children, older foster children, like uh, teenage foster children who are about to like age out or waiting to for placement for adoption or just in the foster care system because of maybe lost a parent or something like that. So I'd love to interview that him and get his ideas on where he feels like our future is going with children. I just love to interview people who have a passion for children because I do. The passion, y'all. I do. Um, so hopefully that will be coming next month. And if not next month, the month after that, May. And I'm looking forward to getting anybody who's interested in being interviewed for the show. I'd love to interview you. If you have something pertinent to say or share that has something to do with our future and children and education, would love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear your input. So, without any thing else to say, I'm gonna let you guys go until 2 weeks. Right? We got 1st of April. Right? Yeah. So, thank you you guys so much for watching, and see you next time.